Hello, you Patriots out there on podcast land, and welcome to episode 229 of Canadian Patriot Podcast, the #1 live podcast in Canada. We're recording on May 18th, 2020. As always, my name is Andrew. Joining me tonight, we have Ian and Gavin.
And we'd love to hear your feedback about the show, so please visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com/feedback or email us at feedback@CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. We're doing like feedback-only episodes now, so those episodes are going to suck real bad if we don't have any feedback, so give us your feedback. You can also check out the show on iTunes and Stitcher and Podbean and Spotify and a bunch of other places, but you're already listening now, so we're going to assume that you have already found it. So keep listening. Thank you.
This has been my favorite TED Talk. If you want to see videos of Gavin's TED Talk, you should visit our social media pages. Go to facebook.com/Canadian Patriot Podcast or Instagram. We're on Instagram at Canadian Patriot Podcast.
All right, we need your help. To support the show, visit patreon.com/CPP and become a Patreon. You can get a better quality version of the show for just $1 per episode. The more you pledge, the better the rewards are. Sure you're not a communist? Buy a CPP t-shirt for just $19.99 plus shipping and theft. Visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com homepage and follow the link on the right.
All right, it's time for my favorite segment in the show. It's called What Are We Drinking? We're going to go clockwise, and we'll start with Gavin. Gavin, what are you drinking?
I am drinking Four Roses and Coke Zero this evening, although I was just thinking that I need to invent a whiskey, or at least brand one as TED, so then I can have a TED Talk every time I get drunk.
I mean, I'm in. How much could that possibly cost?
It's whatever we need to buy a label making machine.
Perfect. Ian, what are you drinking?
Hacker Shore Munich Gold Beer.
Ooh, nice.
Some foreign. I guess they're all 2024 and stuff.
Sure, spelled the way it sounds with a P.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The P is silent. That makes it like really high end.
Yeah. Although it's still plentiful if you drink a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
I see what you've done there. I am drinking Shakespeare Brewing again this week, but I have the orange ginger wheat. It's delightful.
I seem to recall an Instagram post of one of those which looked like a river in the background, which I don't seem to recall a river in your backyard, Andrew.
No, we socially distanced at the local pond.
Were you imbibing of alcohol in public?
No, I
Shame.
had an empty beer can with me and took a photo of it.
Oh, okay. Just wanted to make sure. Make sure you're a good law-abiding citizen and all.
Well, I mean, if I get no-knock rated, it's probably not because of the open beer in public.
Yeah.
The illegal machine guns. That's probably the... If I were going to guess, that would be the thing I get no-knock rated for.
Probably.
Pardon me, what do we call those in Canada? Wellness checks, eh?
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, Kyle's trying to figure out my background. It's called a really bad lighting setup today because the sun's shining right into the shed right now, and it's about 30 degrees. So if I put my hand up here, the rain will go away, but if I do this, it kind of goes back. So.
Wait, you're in a shed? You're not actually wherever it is that you're photoing?
I'm in a post-apocalyptic landscape, can't you, Kel?
So are we.
Yes. Well, it's called Ontario, but...
Yeah, that's the... yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Isn't it time to ban Toronto? Isn't it time to reduce crime? Isn't it time to stop? What's that thing that they overdose on? We got to give them Narcan.
Yeah. I mean, you say post-apocalyptic.
Opiates.
We say post-win government. Same thing.
Yeah, that's right. Isn't that fentanyl that they overdose on, or is it?
Whatever.
Well, isn't fentanyl a type of opiate? I feel like we should know this.
Yes, it is.
And fentanyl enough on the show.
Fentanyl is a type of opiate. So your
and
Narcan.
You give people Narcan when they overdose.
Yeah. On
not
any
like
type
Pulp
of thing.
Fiction where you stab Uma Thurman in the chest with a giant hypodermic needle.
Yeah, no adrenaline needles anymore. It's just Narcan in a needle or the nasal spray. But if you do that, be warned. They come out swinging because you just ruined their high.
Oh, now that social distancing is over, maybe I should go to the pharmacy and get new Narcan kits. That'll be a fun adventure.
Yeah. Make sure you bring the boy.
It's
I need
it's
him to
for
get
him.
certified.
Yeah.
I need him to get certified. Everybody gets one. Tax dollars at work.
Yeah.
Speaking of tax dollars at work, let's go into our first article. This is in...
Blackpilling already.
Wow. This is in the Post-Millennial. Trudeau government refuses to release carbon tax data, says it's a secret. So no shit. That's literally all the information that we have about this, is that the carbon tax
because
is
it's a
going up.
secret. It's a secret. I mean,
But like that's the entire...
Yeah.
I sort of say what bad could come out of seeing how much money he raked in. I mean, that might explain why he's spending money like a drunken sailor, but I mean, like, what's the downside of releasing those numbers?
Well, maybe the downside would be that, like, whatever evidence they have doesn't support the fact that the carbon tax is doing a damn thing.
Oh, wait a minute. That might actually, it might make people realize how much they're getting ripped off, too.
I'm no expert.
Well, I think if they were to release actual numbers, they would be able to compare it to provincial reports, which the provinces have all the provinces that have released information about their own tax schemes have all reported that they're more effective than what the federal government is doing, the most recent one being British Columbia.
Shocking.
So even BC's government is more effective at something than the federal Liberals.
And certainly more transparent.
Yeah. Well, I mean, transparency was a thing that they campaigned on. However, that was the previous election, so now that they've been elected again, all the previous promises have been null and void, so you don't have to make good on them. Right? That's how that works?
I mean, if the see-through dress fits.
Yeah. You must have quit? Is that how that one goes?
Yeah, no, I don't know. The carbon tax went up last month, but we have no other information about that. So it went up by 50%. So it was $20 a ton, now we're at $30 a ton as of last month. But like the actual income, and I hesitate to say expenses side of the equation, wherever this money is supposed to be going, none of that information has been released. So we don't know how much money the federal government's collected. And remember, the carbon tax is revenue neutral. But we don't know how much we've spent from that fund either.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I could tell you where a bunch of it went. Like maybe his multiple cottages or some of this corona relief that everyone's getting the free money. I don't know. Maybe that's a guess.
I said it before, and I stand by that. I think that the whole carbon tax thing just goes into the general fund, the giant pool of federal money. I don't think it goes to a specific one. Well, we're going to take it out of this one, and we're going to put it back into this one. I don't think it works like that. I don't think they're divided up into buckets of money here.
Well, and even if they are, I think like they have like the bucket that the public sees, but then that just funnels into a lower bucket that's bigger that all the other buckets funnel into. And
those are just funnels. Those aren't buckets anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's all just a scam. And this is the biggest scam of all because they can't even be bothered to fake numbers for it anymore. Right? Like,
because they know people are going to rise up over it. So what do they care?
Well,
I think that's a big part of it is that nobody really cares. I mean, our tens of listeners, I guess tonight our 10 listeners, they care. But in the grand scheme of things, like in general, Canadians don't care. They're making it rain with the Ottawa money. The CERB is getting massively abused. I didn't put any of the CERB stuff in this week's episode, but like they're talking about tens of thousands, possibly hundreds of thousands of fraud cases, and the CERB people have just been told to pay it and let Revenue Canada deal with it later, so they'll get it on people's income taxes, implying that like people are gonna pay their taxes and that this money's gone.
Yeah.
Money's so gone. This money is as gone as the $850 million that we gave to the World Health Organization.
Yeah. Or as gone as the money that Trudeau spent on socks.
No, but I mean, like we talked on Thursday, right? Gavin, the federal, or pardon me, the parliamentary budgetary officer doesn't know what the current debt.
They have no idea what they spent. Yeah.
Because again, like we're making it rain, and as long as people keep getting that little bit of sprinkle from Ottawa, I don't think they care. Pick the guns, shut down the stores, make people unemployed. maybe bail out some giant corporations. I hear SNC Lavalin needs some new contracts, and Bombardier's got some planes that need to be built. But
Yeah.
Everybody else.
Meanwhile,
go stand in the bread
JT's
line,
there
right?
JT's there like the spice guy, just like dropping hundos, like. And obviously, the money printer in the background is just going the whole time.
I think at this time it's overheating now.
Is that why it's finally starting to warm up?
Yeah.
Maybe that's how he can get people to its climate change numbers to match up. He's going to just run the money printer until everything starts to get warm.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying that I want to increase the temperature, but burning a lot of jet fuel would probably help.
Yeah.
I hear there's some Canadian Forces members that can help with that.
Ooh.
Too soon.
We're not
too soon.
Too soon? Okay, yeah, we're not talking about that. I feel
never too
I do
soon.
Feel bad for I do feel bad for somebody having been killed in this stupid stunt pulled by our government because of the morale tour that snowbirds are doing.
Well, okay, morale tour aside, but hey, what about the 50-something-year-old airplanes they have to fly around in because the government's too cheap to buy them actually proper ones?
Oh, you mean like the article
that we don't use state-of-the-art equipment in the Canadian Forces?
Turns out, no.
There's an article from like 2007 that came out that said that they need to replace those planes immediately.
Yeah.
2007.
Look at it this way. John Travolta had one for a fun toy as he used to fly on the side, and he decided it was too old to decrepit, so he got rid of his as a private airplane. It's just like they're just that clapped out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
so
it's a 60-year-old airframe?
Yeah, so Kyle just corrected me. It's actually 60-year-old, not 50-year-old, so my mistake.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, obviously, it's sad news that this happened to everyone that, injured and died in it, but like,
what would stop people from getting killed unnecessarily? Not having the government involved?
Yeah. I mean, I think the whole morale tour was kind of stupid, to be honest.
Well, especially nobody knew they were flying overhead anyway half the time.
Yeah, I
literally just burning money.
I live near the airport, and I didn't even hear them flying overhead. So I don't even know when it was. And the whole point of this thing was to get people outside of your house to gather in large numbers when we're not supposed to be gathering in numbers.
No. The CBC specifically said stand in your yard by yourself.
I just think the whole thing was kind of dumb. And it wasn't even an original idea. It was JT stealing it from Trump, but it's not like he's going to give him the credit for coming up with the idea. Not that Trump came up with the idea either, likely, but we've got a virtue signal against him. But then when we steal an idea from him and the Americans, we're not going to give them any kudos where kudos is due. But,
I think the Albertan nailed it. The elitist idea of how to make the plebes happy. It's like, let's give the peasants something to take their mind off this whole.
Yeah, but if we're gonna do a military display, let's do a North Korea or China level event where it's an actual.
So we're gonna launch a missile into Hudson's Bay.
Yeah, or have one of those military parades where everything is perfect and everyone's walking in time and something to actually go man, that was awesome. Not the fucking planes fly overhead and then it's gone. You go to take a leak and it's over and done with, right? Although I guess we can't do that because the last time we had a parade, people got angry that the rifles had magazines in them. So.
Well, I mean, I was mad at that because we shouldn't be putting military into religious parades, but that's a separate thing.
Yeah.
Bread and circuses, man. That's the whole point here.
Yeah.
Keep people entertained. Keep them looking away. Keep making it rain. I mean, you got to stand in line to get your groceries, but as long as you don't got to pay for those groceries, I guess.
Yeah. And it's even cooler when you're standing in line and a bunch of jets fly overhead. Except that in the Toronto area when the air show is on, they say that we can't do the air show anymore because it's not respectful for recent immigrants where they may be scared of fighter jets. But these fighter jets are fine. Because I guess these ones are so old that we don't even recognize them as fighter jets.
They're not fighter jets, they're trainers.
They're also good for ground assault, apparently.
Okay, now that was too soon.
No, not necessarily.
No, literally
Yeah,
down. I think it was it wasn't Argentina. It was like Chile or something. They used them as a ground attack airplane.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for real. Like, it's part of the Wikipedia article that I read about them.
Yeah.
It's got to be true. It was on the internet.
Wow. I mean, Ben Franklin did say everything on the internet is true. So
Yeah. I mean, we're on the internet, and we're always factual. Ish.
ish. Let's do another thing on the internet that's factual. I've got a kind of a double header, a twofer, if you will. First one's on the post-millennial. RCMP to increase monitoring of Canadian citizens' social media. Shocking no one.
Yeah.
And on the National Post, CSIS says proposed federal privacy reforms could hinder spy operations. What privacy reforms? No, seriously, what privacy reforms?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they're not letting them use the Stingray system anymore.
CSIS submitted a big-ass document to Justice Department saying that some changes, although I cannot figure out what changes in the Privacy Act, are going to hinder their operations. At the same time, the RCMP says that they're going to increase domestic monitoring of social media.
Which is hardly a surprise.
They're going to try and...
Well, we're what do you call it? Pacing the UK is we're just like a few years behind them, and they're already throwing people in jail for their Facebook posts. I mean, what that's natural progression.
Well, I think that's a big part of my concern with the RCMP doing this domestic monitoring thing, because they're going to identify threats and address public concerns. So this is, I get it. It's like open source intelligence. It's signal intelligence. Like they're looking at things that are not being discreetly communicated. But I also don't see any good coming of this.
Yeah, like how much?
Probably 2 steps away from the Brits with their wrong think.
Well, but exactly, none of this is hidden. I mean, if anyone wants to watch our show, they go ahead, right? But how much time and money is going to be spent looking at useless information versus going after areas that could actually use, some going over, right? I think the vast majority of
people in rural Nova Scotia with illegal machine guns, those people.
Exactly. Or just people committing actual crimes instead of thought crimes.
Well,
and not the THOT thought crimes, but actual thought crimes.
Well, thoughts should be outlawed.
No, at least independent thought.
No, thoughts, not thinking.
Yeah.
So I don't really follow this, because if we're making some sort of a change to the Privacy Act that's going to prevent CSIS from doing domestic surveillance, I don't know how the RCMP is ramping their stuff up. But again, looking at social media and stuff, if you put it on the internet, expect people to look at it. Don't do dumb things in dumb places with dumb people. I think that should go without saying. There's basic operational security, right? Don't do stupid things in stupid places with stupid people. Don't post that stuff on the internet.
Yeah, but if you are, do it as a podcast and then call it entertainment, and then it's okay.
Well, I wouldn't go so far as to say it's okay, but we're not.
So we hope.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not getting no-knock rated. Wellness checked because of the podcast. I'm getting no-knock rated because of the illegal machine gun operation in the garage.
Yeah, but because you said something about it on the podcast, Andrew.
For legal reasons, I'm required to say that this is a joke. The standard podcast disclaimer should apply. This is an entertainment show. We do this because it's funny. We get drunk on the internet and talk shit about the government. It shouldn't be taken as threats against persons or that I'm actually manufacturing illegal machine guns.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Cancel that order. I just sent you an email.
Yeah. Yeah. All of that stuff factually is in our, CPP After Dark podcast, which you can be a member of if you support us on Patriot.
Yeah, go behind the paywall, so to speak.
Way behind the paywall.
Yeah.
I don't know. The other thing with this is, because we are a Five Eyes country, I feel like we already have a significant amount of domestic and foreign intelligence assets pouring over all of the publicly available data, right? So Five Eyes is Australia, New Zealand, Britain, America, and Canada. So we are the most surveilled and the most surveilling countries in the world. Yay!
Well, it doesn't take much of a genius to figure that out when you look at all the closed circuit television cameras around, especially in England. But I mean, even around here, most downtown cities are just laden with them, right?
One that I don't mind so much the passive intelligence gathering, like the closed circuit television stuff. Yeah, I don't want to be surveilled all the time, but like I also don't want to go to downtown Toronto, so that's sort of self-defeating.
Yeah.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something weird going on there with one federal spy agency saying that they don't have the tools and resources to do their job, and another federal law enforcement agency saying that they have invested into more wide-ranging tools to enable them to gather more open-source intelligence.
Either this is a JTF2 situation, like it seems like that, where basically no one knows the Canadian intelligence agencies exist, and until the Americans let it leak.
Well, they'll be sorry. They'll all be sorry.
Or it always seems like the Americans know more what's going on in our country than we do. I don't know. I remember that being an aspect of the. I think they call them the Toronto 13 or something. I don't even remember exactly.
Yeah, the Toronto 13, when it was a alleged terrorist cell that was threatening to blow things up, but they may or may not have been coerced into doing that by law enforcement.
Right. So
there's that.
They're running the standard playbook, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Yes. Basically, they took one out of the ATF's book and was like, "Hey, do you want to make machine guns? No. Well, what if we told you we need machine guns and told you how to make them? Then would you sell us machine guns?
Yeah.
You wouldn't. Well, what if we sold you the machine guns first and then you sold them back to us? Because I mean, that's the standard ATF playbook.
Yeah.
For other standard ATF playbooks, you should look at buildings that don't blow themselves up and see what Uncle Ted had to say.
Yeah.
But
Professor Ted? I'm not sure.
It seems like every time, like a lot of time when these big things happen, like even like Nova Scotia, for example, where American citizens were being warned about the shooting before Canadians were. It seems like they have a better handle what's going on in our country than we do.
I would say probably their intelligence people are very aware of what's going on because that's what they're paid to do.
They also have a massive budget, and there's more of them than there are of us. So,
okay.
But I would say that like the average American doesn't even know what's going on in their own country, let alone what's going on in their hat.
So their intelligence agencies make up for that plus?
Well, like, so this is some anecdotal stuff here, but like I was at a business meeting one time and talking to a gentleman from Texas, and he was like, "Oh, so you're from Canada?" And like, that's pretty big. I was like, "Yeah, like it's actually bigger than the United States." And maybe it's just because he's from Texas, where everything is bigger in Texas, including Texas is bigger than the United States somehow, even though it's part of it. But like, when I explained it to him, I was like, well, like it goes from like New York on one coast and everything, like all the way straight across to like California. So it's as wide as the United States and then taller. That blew his mind, like absolutely blew his mind. And this is like an educated person.
Well, if you look at the map, I mean, Canada's pretty easy to miss when it's Canada's pretty easy to miss when it's tucked away all the way down there, type of thing.
Yeah, or they don't even include it. Yeah.
Yeah, he only ever saw a map of America.
Yeah. So
I mean, is it really worth looking at any other countries?
Well, probably
everyone knows
really.
Alaska and Australia and Hawaii are right next to each other.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably just written as like "There be dragons" or something above the U.S. border or something. Maybe some storm clouds written in or something.
Yeah.
Some good beer.
Yeah, or like "There be mooses," eh?
Yeah. New dude booted.
There do be mooses.
Yeah. But yeah, so I would say, their intelligence agencies probably have a hell of a lot better handle on things than our intelligence agencies. But the average person is clueless. Is my
Much like
opinion.
the average Canadian.
Exactly. They just say a lot less.
Speaking of clueless Canadians, I have news about Bill Blair. This is from the Canadian Shooting Sports Association. Bill Blair lied. Shocking, I know. Bill Blair lied. RCMP is prohibiting shotguns via order in council. So everybody remembers the tweet. Minister Blair said that they were not banning shotguns and the truth matters.
Yeah, he lied.
Bill Blair was in Parliament in early May, and he said that, I'm paraphrasing, he basically said that the MP that brought it up isn't listening, and Bill Blair would say again that 10 and 12 gauge shotguns were not being prohibited.
Yeah, but then again, he also said that like the 9 o'clock gun or whatever is a grenade launcher.
He also
True,
said get in the kettle.
Also true. It's come out that as of Friday, so that'd be May the 15th, a number of shotguns have now been moved to the prohibited category,
Weird.
including a bolt-action shotgun. The semi-automatic shotguns that look like ARs, I can understand that they were moved because they look like ARs. They have no actual similarities to an AR, but the looks like, right? So that makes it a variant because it looks
that's why
like an AR.
It's assault style, right? Because it's all about style.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Like,
function.
so the assault style semi-automatic shotguns, I can kind of understand because they screwed up and didn't put them in the first place. But the bolt-action shotgun,
super dangerous.
Well, because it's
I mean,
porous,
it
larger
also-
than 20 millimeters.
no, it is because cosmetically it also looks like an AR-15. It has a carry handle and a detachable magazine, and it's got a black plastic fore and a stock.
What's the model number?
It's
What's
the
it
older
called?
B212.
Oh, yeah.
You know who else used bolt actions? Nazis.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Sure.
those were chambered in 8mm Mauser.
Well, you know, close enough.
Yeah,
Shotgun.
That's 12mm less. Totally good to go.
It shows how silly it is, though. I mean, when you got to a bolt action of any sort, whether it be like the Shaytek series or the shotguns themselves, it's like this is not about assault weapons. This is not about anything other than control.
No, it's not. It never was. But I do find it fun to compare with the twits from Minister Blair saying that the truth matters and they are not banning shotguns, and then multiple times over multiple days in Parliament saying that shotguns were not going to be banned, and then shotguns have been banned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That, I mean, you know, to further Ian's point, like the only assault that like a 50 BMG is doing is on my bank account.
And your shoulder.
Yeah, Remington just came out with one. Or they redid one. Or not even. They just...
Yeah, no, Remington finally announced a 50 caliber, 50 BMG rifle.
It's the Bushmaster 50, that's all.
Yeah, but now it's made by Remington.
Yeah.
Great. Now it won't work.
No, it'll come
Well, I
in
mean-
like a chassis with no magazine, and like every aftermarket company will make one before they decide to.
Well,
But,
at
like,
least
whatever.
it won't sell if it's Remington. That's one thing.
Yeah.
I don't know what the original one for, but this one's at MSRP is $4,600.
Sounds about the neighborhood. I mean, the
Yeah.
BMG, like a 50 BMG is around $4 or $5 grand. That sounds
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. I mean, one day, hopefully, we will be able to get these guns again, because I would like a Barrett
See, this reminds me
for
of other,
reasons.
this whole talk of the it looking scary. There were certain things that came out recently that were deemed non-restricted before this OIC, and I was like, "Oh, cool! What else would fall into that?" And I recently saw a video on the AK-9. I forget what it's called. By Kalashnikov USA, where basically it's a shrunken version of an AK that shoots 9mm. And it's not the same. There's no interchangeable parts or anything like that, so it should be, going along those lines, it should be okay. But then I remember the Blaze 47, and now this Adler B10, whatever it is, B210. So
210. Yeah.
never mind that.
Yeah, but I mean, that was kind of the thing. Like, so there's been a bunch of stuff that has been prohibited after the fact that, like, isn't even falling into the loose definitions of the stuff that's come out. So, like,
they're just changing the rules as they go along,
Well, but
right?
that's
All
what
it
I mean,
takes
like,
is
so-
regs.
like the SLR was recently prohibited, But like
That's
the
our
SLR,
next,
yeah,
that's our next article here. So in the show notes for people playing along at home, this is in Caliber Magazine. This is from May 15th. More guns banned, FRT records deleted, and this is what Gavin is getting to with the SLR. So the SLR on May the 1st, prior to May the 1st, and even up to May 14th, was generally considered a non-restricted rifle as long as the barrel and overall length met those criteria.
yeah.
And now
So-
all models, all variants are considered prohibited.
Yeah, so the fact that it was non-restricted meant that it wasn't an AR variant. And like that was established by the RCMP by giving it, the FRT numbers and the classification and everything that they did. So that the experts on guns have determined that this is not an AR variant.
We really
so
need
long as-
like an air quotes
Yeah, like
jingle or something for
Yeah.
the experts.
yeah.
The experts
So
in
they,
collecting
Just like
they
government
did all of
data.
that, and then
The stake.
now
Well,
they're prohibiting it. So, but under what? It certainly doesn't have a bore diameter greater than 20 millimeters.
So
Pretty damn sure you're not going to get 10,000 joules out of any cartridge you can fit into there. At least
This-
not more than once.
this is what it boils
Right.
down to, where I have absolutely no faith in our government to keep the rules that they themselves put in place.
No, exactly, and I don't either. And I mean, I guess somebody in the comments here mentioned that maybe they're going to claim that the RCMP did this and not the liberals, and back and forth and everything, and they're setting up like the RCMP is the scapegoat, like potentially. I mean, but I don't know. I kind of like to think that maybe like for once the RCMP is actually on our side, and they're just doing this kind of like in malicious compliance. Like I can hope. I don't think so either. But
Queen's
if I'm going to go
Cowboys are on our side.
if I'm going tinfoil hat, I
feel
want to
like
go
there's-
tinfoil hat where they're on our side for once.
There's no
Change
reason
of
for
pace.
the RCMP to change the FRT unless they've been told to do it, because it makes them look inept.
Well, same thing.
Exactly.
Like, they did an entire report on the Stag 10 about how the design predates the AR-15, and therefore it's not an AR-15 variant.
Yeah,
And it was one of the first things they did on the OASC was ban the Stag 10, which is they know is a big seller in Canada, even though
Yeah.
it is not an AR-15 variant. But
No.
they just dumped it in anyway.
but I mean that's why they specifically named it. So at least then it's like, okay, you specifically named it, and therefore anything that is an AR-10, like at least that makes sense, right? But like you have the experts on firearms telling you that this is not an AR-15, like not all that long ago, and now all of a sudden, oh no, it's an AR variant, or we're just completely incompetent and decided to just change this even though it's not anything related to anything on the list.
Well, and I think
Like-
we talked about this a little bit before. I mean, I'm all for like pedal to the metal. Let's like move everything to the prohibited list because it just is going to galvanize the voting bloc. So make all
Yeah.
of the things prohibited. Just
Yeah.
do it. Because like they are not being subtle. Like the government is not pulling any punches on this. Like just pedal to the metal, ban everything. Like let's make sure that we're doing this because of domestic violence. Let's make sure that we're doing this because of violence against women, which they have no stats to back that up.
Yeah.
Let's make sure that we ban all the handguns because nobody needs a handgun. Like let's just galvanize the entire voting bloc.
Yeah.
And then we can all go fight this in court because this will be fun.
I mean, a little bit of accelerationism. Just ban them
A
all.
whole lot of accelerationism. Just ban everything. Just make it all. Just
I
make
mean-
it all prohibited.
And I mean, to be fair, like anything less than that is an empty, hollow gesture on their part. Like
But
there's
and
no,
that's, again,
there's
that's
no
been
half
my
measure on
argument
gun
before.
control. Yeah, it's if you're going to do it,
That's
do it. Like
a gun is a gun, right? So if I can
Yeah.
still have a shotgun, if I can still have any kind of rifle, if I can still have any kind of pistol, like a gun is a gun.
Andrew, now
So-
you're applying your logic to them. That doesn't work.
No, let's not classify that as my logic. It's just called logic.
yeah, it's,
Well, I'm saying now you're applying logic to them. If they really did hold the way they hold, then we would have had these bans in 1993 or in 79 or whenever else when they first enacted any form of.
Benny's
firearms
making
act.
up years, but you're close.
yeah. But
77 and 95, but
like
you're
when they
close on
did
both
that though,
counts.
like when they did stuff like that though, at least it was like all of something. So they're like all machine guns are banned. It wasn't just like, oh well, only these machine guns are, but these other ones are fine. Like So
And I
if
think
you're
that
going
they
to ban
realized
one,
the errors.
if you're going to ban one semi-auto, you have to ban them all because otherwise it doesn't make any sense. Like
Well, and I think
that's
they
logic.
realized the errors of their way. That's why they're doing things like the 10,000 joule
Yeah.
energy limit or the 20 millimeter bore, because it's just like,
Yeah,
well, everything fits into we can make everything fit into these
but
categories.
but that's the thing is I don't know whether they did that because they're smart or they did that because they're completely inept. It's confusing.
I mean,
Or that, or
Don't-
there's some armored vehicles rated for 10,000 joules of energy.
Yeah,
well, I mean, yes, all
look into
soft
that.
armored vehicles.
yeah. But I mean, I guess
Anything lightly armored will withstand that level of energy.
Yeah,
including,
but
including those ones in Venezuela that ran over people.
yeah.
Yeah. The Lenco Bearcats are rated to stop 50 caliber rounds, not things bigger than 50 caliber rounds.
Or that punch harder. Yeah.
I left my Russian
So-
anti-tank gun in my other pants.
Yeah,
So I'm just saying, like, the whole like 20 millimeter thing. Well, it seems arbitrary, is not, because anti-tank rifles are 20 millimeter. That
Right.
Yeah.
That's why.
But it's greater than 20 millimeter.
Don't. No, I'm pretty sure you get 20 millimeter rounds. Like that's you can't say I'd never learned anything from video games.
But
But I thought the
I mean,
Lati was 20 millimeter and all that stuff too, right?
yeah. But I mean, I know it's not in our show notes, but I mean, this is kind of plays into the whole polysuivant thing, which they released their.
Well, and this has been. I mean, I think this is really being driven by Polysuivant and Wendy Souquier and what's the other one?
Wendy Kakier.
No, I said Souquier. What's
Oh.
the other one?
Heidi Ashton.
Polysuivant one.
That's the one.
Rathagen, thank you.
Yeah.
All of these guns that are on their list are effective. Or all of the guns that were recently prohibited are effectively on the Polysuivant list.
Although
They
they
forgot
just
things.
released their new list, right? Like that just came
Well-
out of all the things that they didn't do.
I'm sorry. So when I'm talking about the list, I mean the
Yeah.
May 1st ordering council.
Yeah.
So AR-15s, CZ-858 was in C71. The Swiss Arms was in C71. The Mini 14 was a Polysuivant gun. 50 caliber rifles was Polysuivant. So Poly got their list of things that they wanted, and they effectively want all semi-autos. But they didn't write out all semi-autos. They wanted the scary ones that were available in the time, which is why I think that things like the Maccabees and the SLRs and the Stag 10s and the Devors all got missed the first go around, because they were not on Poly's mind, because they were not the same guns that they've been talking about and showing pictures of for the last 25 years.
Yeah. But I mean, they've
And
since updated that.
Well, that's these 250 additional firearms that we're aware of having their FRT entries changed late last week, Thursday and Friday.
Oh, but after that,
Oh.
they've released a new thing. So they're going after the magazine capacities. So they don't want us to even be able to have like 30-round magazines that have been modified to hold 5. If you could undo the rivet, they want.
But the rivet meets the... So I must have missed this, and it's not in the show notes.
Yeah,
Where is
no,
this
no.
from, and what is it about? Because
So,
the riveting of magazines meets the criteria to be permanently
Yeah.
modified.
let me pull up the link and I will send it to everybody. But the Polysuivant people have just released a new list. So they kind
so
of
this is a Polysuivant thing. This is not a real
yeah,
government
no,
thing.
But like this
Well,
was the
in that
thing
case,
is
I don't
like
care.
they've got what they wanted. Only now they are asking for more.
Well,
this is why you
unexpected,
can't-
and this is why I was saying that they need to push forward on their thing to ban all guns because of violence against women, and especially handguns, because they're too easy
Yeah.
to conceal and too many people have them. Because
Yeah,
again,
so-
this is not about banning guns. This is about taking away individual rights to property. This is about making
Well, exactly, right?
otherwise law-abiding people turn in their firearms and comply with the law. And it's a matter of time until they push for all guns, because it is going to be all guns, because, as I've said repeatedly, a gun is a gun is a gun. It doesn't matter.
Yep. But if you just go to polysuivant.ca, it looks like it's their thing that comes up, and they're naming the WK, some Israeli-made stuff, the SKS. They've now got the Duria on there, because that was used in that shooting out west like a week ago, not even. The Type 97, which nobody in their right mind would own.
All they're doing is
Yeah.
updating the list that they've been working on for 25 years because they finally got their list for 95 done, so they're on to their next one.
Yeah, they want to ban modifiable magazines that can easily be converted to their full illegal capacity of 20, 30, 50, or even 100 rounds. So yeah, anything that's pinned is easily converted back to their original state. They want to, and this is the part that I find hilarious. Like throughout this whole thing that they've put out, there are so many inaccuracies in the information they're putting out. So you would think that like if you really hate guns, you would at least know your enemy, right?
No, they wouldn't even bother taking the firearms safety course. It's too traumatic for them. Don't you know, Gavin, that their lives were shocked and they were traumatized by the events that they went through, that they're such activists for this that they have no interest whatsoever in knowing the facts of the matter. They just want their point taken.
Yeah, they want to limit magazine capacity to 5 bullets for all firearms instead of the current limits of 5 for non-restricted firearms and 10 for restricted firearms.
I didn't know I can carry 10 rounds in my AR-15.
I mean,
I don't have one,
but again, like they're getting at the whole.
But they're doing it
not
like,
being conversant in the law and making it sound scary.
And not only that, but they're trying to out California, because I mean, even in California, I think limits to 10.
Yeah, they also want to ban the importing or manufacture of handguns altogether. And they want to offload the responsibility of banning further restrictions on handguns onto municipalities and want the federal government just to do it. Institute the mandatory storage of handguns and all restricted weapons at gun clubs.
Yeah, no, I'm done talking about the policy people. They don't deserve the time.
But be warned, but this is what's coming. Like they're the ones that are pushing the government to do this stuff, and that's who they're listening to. So that's what's coming down the pipe. So if you're not engaged on this topic yet, get off your couch.
This is ridiculous.
Well, they're only listening to the because you're useful idiots. I mean, once the government gets their control thereafter, they'll just discard these people anyway. What do they care?
What do they add to society? They're just higher up on the food chain than we are. Eventually, they'll get eaten.
Yeah.
On to some better news from the gunblog.ca. J.R. Cox raises $60,000 in 4 days to fight the Liberal gun ban. For those that don't know, J.R. Cox is the owner of the Shooting Edge and Target Sports Canada. So, they've got a GoFundMe. Yeah, so $60,000. It's going to a lawyer. I believe they're based in Toronto. So this is all being done through like a trust to a lawyer for a legal battle to challenge the Ordering Council. Pardon me, it's not a Toronto-based lawyer. It's a Calgary-based lawyer. Thank you to the intern.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, the more lawsuits we can have, the more petitions we can have, as long as they get enough signatures, I think the better, because the more they have to read this in court or in parliament or whatever, the better.
Well, and I enjoy that this one will be wasting the government's time and resources on an actual legal challenge.
Yeah.
Because I know other people have talked about it, but from what I see, that
they haven't done it yet.
Dunn and Associates is actually filing the paperwork. They seem to be the first ones ready to go.
Yep. So like I said, you got to get off the couch, and obviously these people have done so, and there's been some people backing it financially, which we're not all lawyers, we can't all fight it, but there are things we can do, like putting $5 into the jar for these guys or whoever else is going to bat for us, things like that.
Well, on that note, if you haven't approached your gun club, this is probably time to write your board of directors for your gun club and have them push some membership money towards a legal battle, whichever legal battle that they think is worth it. Because, I mean, I don't know what your individual gun clubs have in membership or in membership dollars, but I'm looking at tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars in renovations at our gun club this year. It doesn't mean anything if we have no guns left to shoot. So I would much rather direct that money towards a legal strategy that can potentially save our firearms.
Yeah, I mean the roof only leaks a little bit at the club. I can live with that for another year or two. Let's put that money to something useful.
And that's kind of my point. Is like we don't.
Yeah.
As individual firearms owners, we do not have a lot of money, but as a collective group of firearms owners, we have a little bit of money to put towards a cause that matters.
Yeah, I mean especially because we can't buy a bunch of shit right now, so we've got money to spare. And I mean, if anyone else is in the same boat, like our club is still called Rod and Gun, but they got rid of the rod portion of the club many years ago. So if they get rid of the gun part too, there's no point for the club.
Beating horses isn't as fun as it used to be.
Yeah. So
on that, support your local firearms organizations, write your gun club, and get them to support your local firearms organizations. And while you're at it, sign the three petitions and make sure that you click the link in your email to actually sign the petition. Don't just fill out the form on the internet and then don't finish the last step. You have to make sure for petition C2574, which is over 200,000 signatures now, 2576 and 2582. Click the link in the show notes, sign the form, get the email, click the button in the email that actually completes the step.
Yep.
Not good enough just to fill out a form.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, kudos to the extra people that stepped up, but we still need more. That's 10% of the license owning population.
While you're at it, if you're a member of a gun club that hasn't had your membership sending out email, or hasn't had email sent out to your membership reminding them to sign, drop me a line. I'll send you a form letter. You can have your gun club send it out, and all they have to do is send it to their email list. They don't have to type anything. Literally copy and paste out of the show notes. I will send them what they need to write. Super easy. I think that covers everything. Let's do the outro. Gavin, where can everybody find you on the internet?
You can find me on Instagram at urbex_GTA.
All right. Ian, where can everybody find you?
You can reach me at theislandretreat@gmail.com. You can also find me broadcasting Sunday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern on Canadian Prepper Podcast.
All right. Benny, where can everybody find you?
You can find me at bennylewis.ca, where we actually have uploaded new hearing protection and sentry straps to hold your sling onto your firearm when not in use.
Exciting. If you've listened to this show this long, you deserve a discount code. Go to ragnaroktactical.ca. Use the discount code Patriot at checkout. Save yourself some bucks. We have lots of first aid supplies, and we still have some tactical products in stock, although with the way the dollar is and the way the gun laws are, I'm not sure we're going to get any more. But yeah, discount code. Use discount code Patriot at checkout. For all of our listeners out there in podcast land, I would like to remind you that you are the true North, strong and free.